All right, everyone. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jason Levine, and thank you so much for joining me on the Friday Video Masterclass, where today we're going into part 2 of Premiere Pro Basics, featuring text, titles, and more transitions, kind of building upon some of the graphical transition elements that we talked about towards the end of the stream last week. So for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be covering this, kind of revisiting Premiere Pro Basics. What's super cool is that some of you may have noticed that earlier this week, Tuesday or Wednesday, I forget which day now, we officially released auto-transcription to all Creative Cloud subscribers. So what is auto-transcription? Well, earlier this year, we introduced the new captioning panel and captioning workflow to create captions and subtitles more easily. Now, available to all subscribers for free as part of your membership, you can take your spoken word and you can automatically transcribe that and create the captions from that directly without typing anything, without having to send it off to another service. And this also allows you to do things like burn those captions in directly, which is particularly great if you're creating social videos for Twitter or TikTok or elsewhere, as well as the ability to create an external SRT file, sidecar file, which you can then upload to places like YouTube or Facebook. So then the user has the option to view, enable or disable those captions while they're consuming your content. So because that was just released and because that falls into the text realm of things, and it's actually part of the new text panel, we're going to cover a little bit of that. If you want more details and sort of a very thorough tutorial on all the ins and outs of creating captions and auto-transcription, I have another video both on this channel as well as on my own YouTube channel that you can check out. It's chapterized and it gives you all the stuff you need to know to really dive deep into captioning and auto-transcription. So as always, we're coming to you live on Adobe Live, Behance, YouTube, and Twitter. So thank you so much for joining. You can see we've got a nice audience here. We've got Umacorn and Bruce and Reverb Mike. Tim, what's up? Clifton from South Africa, nice to see you. Kevin Monahan, very, very nice. All right, Juan Cedueñas, nice to see you. Ton Fredericks, how's it going, man? The legend, the one and the only. Ton, glad to see you, man. Wow, it's been a while. William Polk, hello. All right, Wade and Kellen, great to see you as well. Shlomi Arditi, very nice to see you. And Rick, how's it going there? All right, and it looks like everything is running on all the channels. Halal Video, hello. Mundo de Ino, hello. And Father Rahman, hello. Okay, so without further ado, why don't we go ahead and kick into it. I'm going to switch over to Premiere. And just quickly, so here's the little sort of schedule, if I can call it a schedule, for what I'm planning to do today. Why do I always get this wrong? So the text tool, guides and rulers, start with that. Essential graphics panel, which is going to lead us into the text panel, captions and auto-transcription, essential graphics panel, transitions and editing. So again, this is kind of using the EGP and Adobe Stock to find transitional elements, alternate transition types if we get to that, and then After Effects and motion graphics templates. And this is really something we'll probably cover more next week. I just wanted to stick it in there in case we have time. All right, want to remind you all that the text animations and titles and things that you build natively in Premiere can become this thing that you see there called a MOGRT, which stands for Motion Graphics Template. And that's just a reusable element that you can save locally, or you can save to your Creative Cloud libraries, you can save to a shared library. So like if you have a standard lower third graphic or something that you want to use for all of your videos, you can build these easily in Premiere or After Effects, save them as a shareable element, and then just drag them into your timeline whenever you need them. It's really easy. It's extremely efficient. It's one of the best things we've ever done. So we're going to take a little bit of a look at that on the Premiere side and possibly on the After Effects side if we have time. Okay. So I'm going to switch over here and we're going to get started. All right, I'm going to keep that table of contents up so I can remember what it is I plan on doing. Okay, so let's first just start talking about type and text. All right. So traditionally, you used to go into the legacy titler, and in fact, we still have the old school legacy titler. By the way, it's worth pointing out, I'm not going to show that workflow today because it's not one that is new, and then if you're starting and doing basics, we're not gonna do this. But you now have, as of Tuesday or Wednesday's release, the ability to convert legacy titles, so title graphics that you made in the previous legacy titler, convert them to MOGRTs, basically, to an essential graphics block, which you can then treat just as you do with all the other ones. So converting those old text creations that you did in the legacy titler and updating them to the EGP. So that's super cool. So this is how you used to do it. It's super easy now, really effortless. And if you just want to start putting text on your video, and you can see I've got this video here of my my Moog Rogue synth from that little mini doc that I shot a couple years ago. I'm going to go down to the tools panel here and just select the type tool, right? Real simple. And as we go in there, we've got the standard type tool and then the vertical type tool. So we're going to go with the standard type tool here. All right, click on screen and just start typing the Moog Rogue. Okay, and you know, I don't know if the default font is always Minion Pro. It's just not a favorite of mine. It's like half Times New Roman. I just heard Paul saying how I always have font anxiety, which is all true. But the point is, you type text and it's that simple. All right, now we're going to kind of jump over to Essential Graphics, because now when you are typing text on screen, you are intimately creating something that can be edited a bit more fully from within this Essential Graphics panel tab. If you don't see that, you can go up to the window and choose Window menu and choose Essential Graphics. You can also go into the Graphics workspace, all right, which is up here. I'm not using that because I've customized all of these, but you can find it here under Window Workspaces Graphics as well, all right? So the Essential Graphics panel is going to allow you to do all the kinds of things that you'd want to do to that text, including adjust, you know, the color, the fill, stroke, adding a background box, changing the font, all of those elements. And you'll see that it's actually building a little layer stack up here, all right? So if we're just talking text, every time you add new text in here, it becomes a new text layer. So it's real simple and real easy. So let's just talk about this simple text right here, all right? So with the text tool selected, again, I'm just gonna double click inside of here to select all of my text. All right, so just kind of go through some of the parameters here that you see. So we have align and transform, right? All very self-explanatory. If we want to do vertical center, horizontal center, you know, all of the various alignment options that you have. Again, you're familiar with these from Photoshop, from probably InDesign, from After Effects. All of those controls are here very easily. Now you may have noticed as I was moving this around, you see these little snapping lines. Okay, this is something that we added just a few versions ago. If I go into the settings menu here, there's an option to always snap in Program Monitor. And this is specific to working with text and graphics blocks, things that you build in the Essential Graphics panel. Now, where this becomes even more important, more essential, is if you're working with guides. Now, this is something that we didn't have in Premiere for ages. Now we do, guides and rulers. So I've already got the rulers on in case you didn't notice, right? So we're in 1080p, 1920, 1080, so we can see we are approximately 1920 pixels wide and 1080 pixels high, okay? Standard rulers, you can turn them on, turn them off. You can also do that up in the view menu up here, all right? Show rulers and show guides, okay? Now, this is a whole series of guides that I've been drawing on screen here. My point is that when you have that snap in Program Monitor enabled, as I moved the text around, here I'll zoom in so you can see it, any one of those guides I can now snap to. See how it's creating those little, and it's probably looking a little strange on the stream because I think it's that color red that sort of errors out. But you can see that you can snap now very accurately anywhere inside the Program Monitor here. So this is really awesome. You know, again, if you're building, even if it's static graphics, static lower thirds, or adding text, and you just want everything aligned exactly, turn on the guides, type your text, right? Maybe we move to another scene over here. We're gonna grab some more text, you know, the Casio VL1, and now I don't have to worry, oh, where was that? Do I have to make it the same? No, I know exactly where I want it to go, right down here, and that'll be completely aligned with the previous one, all right? Very cool. Very nice. And actually, it looks like I didn't align that one there. Okay. like that, wherever I did it. So, guides. How do you make new guides? Well, you can, first of all, just drag them from the left, I think the left edge and the top edge up here. You can pull out new guides. So I'm just clicking in the ruler area. You'll notice that your cursor changes like this. And now I can just pull out a new guide, vertical or horizontal. If you want to change the color of the guides, we can go into Add Guide up in the View menu here. So I can say, let's make those guides, orange. You can choose the position automatically where the first one appears and the orientation. That's sort of arbitrary. It's just an option in there. It'll give you one to start. You can also just drag it off or move it around. But now all the guides that you pull out will be orange. Okay? And again, if you want to get rid of them, you just drag them off screen. It's really pretty awesome, pretty easy, right? And all new guides will be that color orange now. So, rulers and guides, essential for creating graphics, essential for working directly in Premiere. And this is something that's just really easy to do because you've already done it, right? You've done it in Photoshop. You've done it in many other Adobe apps. Now Premiere works that same way as well. All right, let's quickly check the chats here. Mike, seriously, I mean, do you tour, man? Are you doing the comedy clubs? You should be doing comedy clubs. Keep it edgy. Very good. Okay. Kevin, bad default font. I hate that too. You can probably set a fave. Let me check. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's not good, right? I mean, no designer's like, yes, Minion Pro. First choice. I mean, give me anything but that. And again, I have such horrible font anxiety. I just get immediately just all, I'm gonna go Cool Vetica. I like that one. It doesn't work for this, but I just like that font better. All right. Now, align and transform, text, and by the way, yes, so you see here, you've got your filters. You can show only Adobe fonts. You can show your favorites, which it looks like it reset my favorites in the update. Interesting. Interesting, Kevin. Supposed to do that? I don't see my favorites anymore. And you can change them accordingly. You've got your example of what they look like here, which is nice. I used to use Ephra quite a bit too. No, yikes. I mean, I could spend a lot of time doing all this. My go-to, Futura, all right. All your font options here, faux bold, faux italics. And then down slightly more below, you have the appearance panel. So this is where, again, you can adjust things like the fill color. So if we wanted to change the text color here, you just do it like that on screen, click away. Oh, whoops. I didn't actually do the text there. Sorry, didn't change it. Let's go ahead and change that. Okay, so you can see it's yellow there. If you want to add a stroke, we can do that. You can do multiple strokes. If you want to automatically add a bounding box, a box for the background of the text, you can now do that by selecting the text layer. And you click here under background, all right? And this now gives you, I don't know if you're going to see this on screen. I can change the color here. Here, let's go into something just obvious so that you can just see I'm making this box. I want it kind of grayish, but it's going to be gray cyan. Beautiful choice. Oh my God. So you've got your box opacity, your box overall width, height, dimensions, right? And then, this is new, corner radius. What? When did we add that? Is that new too, Kev? That one's awesome. What? Oh, that looks so much better. Now, hold on. I'm going to hide the guides because those are bothering me now. By the way, if you don't see the option to hide them, just click on the program monitor to do that. Oh, nice. Who doesn't like nice rounded corners? Now, the other really cool thing about this, by the way, if you use this native bounding box, you can do this and have a responsive box using different layers. And by the way, inside the layer panel up here, we're not going to get into all of this today because this is really more about text. But you can see I can add text layers here. I can add shape layers here. All right, again, we'll go into this at another time. You can also check out the full videos on using Essential Graphics that I've done, or you can import image files, PSD files, what have you. So there's a lot of different ways to put a box behind text that automatically grows. But this one, if you use this checkbox background right here, it's automatically responsive. So as I modify text, the Moog, the greatest ever, the box automatically grows with me and flows as well. So there I added like a second line. I just made it, taller. You're just now going to have a larger rectangular shaped box. But this is what's so wonderful, is that it's just responsive by default. Oh, and I am loving the fact that you can do the rounded corner box. That is really, really cool. Very nice. Nice addition there. Okay. All right. So that's the basic sort of laying text on screen in Premiere. Now, let's talk basic animation. Paul was just teeing up this idea of adding animation to this, which you can also do in Premiere. Now, if you want to animate simply, easily, right here, without a lot of fuss, you do that via the Effects Controls panel. And you're going to do that in the way that you've always done it. So you'll see at the top now, it shows you have, your text layer, right? And then it's showing you all the various parameters for that source text. So it's everything that you see here. Now again, someone's like, oh, is this all the same stuff that you have in Essential Graphics? Yes, it is. It's just kind of scrunched up in there. I don't like to generally set the things on that side because it's just busy. Now, mind you, when you start adjusting and making changes and keyframing parameters, this is where you can then use the filter properties option, which came out, I think, at the beginning of this year or end of last year. So then you can start to say, show only keyframed properties or show only edited properties. And then it does just that. It's only going to reveal to you those fields where you made a change or did a keyframe. So it just kind of shrinks everything up. In this case, though, if we wanted to say, let's go to the beginning of this block. Let's start by just, basic opacity. So maybe we want a full opacity here, okay? But let's wind back to the beginning of this and drop the opacity down. Hit play, okay? So now a little opacity shift right there. And maybe we also want it to, sort of fly on screen. Well, I want it to be, that's where I want it to be at that point in time. So I can set a position keyframe, all right? Like that. And wind back. Oh, hold on, I was on the wrong block here. Set a position keyframe. Like that. Let's wind back to the beginning. And let's see. Where do I want this to be? Hold on, I gotta make, yeah, not up, down. Okay, other way. Let's go here and let's drag this off screen and it flies on. Okay. Not exactly flying on. It slowly moves on. I'm going to add a little right-click temporal interpolation, ease in on here. Whoa, that's a very big thunder. I don't know if you could just hear that. Wow, that was scary in a soundproof room. Yikes. All right. And you've got some animated text. And then similarly, if we want to say, drop the opacity, right, set another keyframe, go towards the end here. I want this to be completely gone by then, even though the block extends. Again, back it up. Maybe I'll set another position keyframe. And then as the opacity starts to go away, let's have it fly off screen like that. All right. Flies in from the left, flies down, next text block, etc., etc. Okay? So that's basic, the most basic animation on a text block here using Essential Graphics right inside Premiere. You've done animation before. You've ever, adjusted keyframe position, opacity, scale, rotation. It's all the same. Nothing changes. You already know how to do this. You're just doing it right on the program monitor. Okay? Jason is bringing the thunder. Very good. Okay. Yes, and I see someone always asks motion blur, and you can simulate it well from the transform effect. That is true. For my money, you know, if you're really doing something where you want really beautiful looking motion blur that you have a little more control over, you know, flying in from the left, yeah, I mean, if it's linear, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're doing something a little more complex, this is where I would recommend building that animation on the After Effects side, just because you have more control, primarily over motion blur, but over so many other parameters. But yeah, the transform effect is great for that, and that's kind of a little hidden gem that we've got going on. Okay, let's see other questions here. Ariana Saviana, rounded corners, yes, right. I know, I didn't even. Kevin's confirming it is a new feature. Very cool. You can literally see my joy and excitement as I stumble upon those things. As I said, you know, we just added a whole bunch of new stuff. The text panel's the big thing. It's always these little things, though, that I get really excited about. And that's just super cool. Okay, so text tool, guides, rulers, basics of the essential graphics panel. We will come back to this. There's a lot more you can do in here. You can see we even have an option here for what we call responsive design time. So what this means is, and let me just cover this real quickly here. This allows you, so we talked about responsive in terms of, you know, when you add that background box, it grows with the text. Well, there's also time-based responsive design, which you can enable here, which allows you to always protect the animation that you have on a block. Here's what I mean. So we have this animation where the text changes opacity and position, right, over a period of X number of frames, all right? If I go ahead and I turn this on, all right, oh, that's too long, okay? What you're now seeing here in gray is that any keyframes that exist in this gray area, because I've adjusted this intro duration, which let's make this approximately 1 second. There we go. Regardless of how I shrink or expand this motion graphics template, because remember, these are just sort of virtual blocks. They can be any length you want them. That 1 second worth of animation, however this flies on or off, always remains the same. It never changes. It will always be that duration. Similarly, if we go to the end here, and let's say I want that outro duration to, again, also be, let's make it a second and a few frames here. All right. So now anything in this area will also be preserved. So here's what I mean by that. Let's say I take this block now. All right. That's just going to stay on screen the whole time. When I play this back, it flies on over 1 second. Any other animation that would happen there would be stretched or squeezed accordingly. But now at the end, it's that same 1 second fly off. And you can even see it's indicated via color on the block itself. So this lighter pink is indicating that this has responsive design time boundaries. But these boundaries will never change. I can shrink this down as far as it will go. And that 1 second will always be preserved. I can expand it. It never changes the 1 second animation at the top and the tail, all right? So that's another really cool feature, something that, again, is very, very useful. And then whatever additional animation you have in the middle there, again, as you expand that out, it will sort of adjust over time in time based on that. So another really cool little feature that we have there. And then if you want to get into all the details of what we did on that text, select the text layer in the upper right, and that's going to give you all of the options right there, okay? All right. Cool. All right. So let's move on now to the text panel, all right? So this is one of the biggest it's the biggest feature and biggest probably feature announced that we've had in a really long time. And it's something that everybody is just really excited about. If you haven't used it yet, now it's available to all subscribers of Creative Cloud. And it is auto-transcription, all right? Now the caption workflow, again, has already been in there. Just earlier this week, we released automatic transcription for everybody. And this uses our Adobe Sensei machine learning in conjunction with some other technologies to automatically scan the spoken word audio in your video files, create a transcript automatically delivering you an editable transcript right here inside of Premiere. And then you can turn that transcript into captions, which can then be fully stylized, customized, and exported. It's just so good, all right? So I'm gonna show you how this works and inspire you how to do it. Again, we're not gonna go to every detail of transcription and captioning, just show you how it works. And for more detail, maybe Tim or Wade can put that link from my channel to the captions video, which is chapterized. And again, you can learn all the stuff about it. So take a quick look at this. This is a little a promo that I cut months ago for one of the master classes for the Adobe video channel. So just take a quick look and listen to this. Hi, it's Jason Levine from Adobe. Here's what you missed this week on Adobe Live. Today we're going to be talking about how Dynamic Link works with After Effects and Premiere Pro. Okay, so video, audio, how does it work? First, you're going to go up to the window menu and choose the text panel. So you want to make sure that the text panel is open, all right? And inside the text panel, the top button here is Transcribe Sequence. You're getting this as part of your membership. Anybody who's ever done this through a third-party service knows the value here is unbelievable. And I'm not trying to spit marketing at you. It is. This is so good. So click on Transcribe Sequence. All right, tells you kind of what you need to know. Here it is, this sequence, this length. Audio analysis, audio on the track. Are you going to do a mix or channel, whatever? Do the mix. There's only the one channel of audio here. And then you choose your language, okay? Currently, I believe there are about 13 languages in here. I'm going to choose English. Now you have a couple of options here. You can transcribe in-point to out-point only, merge the output with an existing transcription, opt into recognizing when different speakers are talking. This is particularly great, right? If you're doing like a side-by-side interview, because it will do that. It will identify different voices and name them accordingly so that you can, again, further customize how those captions appear if you so desire, or with someone's name. So freaking cool. It's just me, so we don't need that option, okay? And it tells you when you use the transcription feature, your audio files will be processed and transcribed automatically in the cloud. This process cannot be canceled once sent for transcription. All right, now that may be like, ooh, what does that mean? That seems very, very serious. It just means that you got to let it do its thing. So let's let it do its thing. Click transcribe, all right? Now you'll see it's going to begin transcribing the sequence. First it renders the audio, then it uploads to your server, okay, or to the server, not your server. And then it begins transcribing the sequence. Now, admittedly, I have gigabit here, but it's still a minute of transcription that needs to be done. So this speed that you're seeing here, this is the cloud processing, okay? It's done. What? Yes. So let's wind it back. And by the way, you may already notice, if you're paying attention up here, as you scrub through, it's following along word for word. What? Sick. All right, let's just play it, and I'm gonna zoom in so you can follow and see how accurately it did. All right. Hi, it's Jason Levine from Adobe. Here's what you missed this week on Adobe Live. Today we're going to be talking about how dynamic... Okay, so perfect example, Adobe Live. It transcribed it as life because my consonant on Adobe Live was not strong enough. So, because I know that's not right, I can go ahead and change it. Now, if it's done that a few times, I don't know if it did or not, I can search on Adobe Life and see if it found multiple instances of that. It looks like it's only the one. Oh, okay, then I don't have to worry about it. Because you have replace options here where you can say for every instance of Adobe Life, change it to Adobe Live. So you can replace one or replace all. Let's go ahead and just do a replace all. And it does that right inside of the transcript. So we can pick up, I can select the word where we left off. Let's even go back 2 words and keep going. Week on Adobe Live. Today we're going to be talking about how Dynamic Link works with After Effects and Premiere Pro. We're going to take this particular shot, add some text to it. All right, we could spend all day marveling at the accuracy and blah, blah, blah. You just have to try it. It's so good. It's so good. It is brilliant, Wade. Kellen, this is going to be so funny in Hindi. So, we have many colleagues out of our Noida office and Bangalore, and I've been working with many of them, and I've tested out a couple of things, some famous movies that as a test to see how it did, and I sent the results back to them. Apparently, it's shockingly good. And I've tried it myself, even in my own, speaking French and some other things. Shockingly good. You just have to try it. When you think about voice control and things, even in cars or Siri, but, even a couple of years ago, accuracy really varied. I think it's pretty safe to say, I think we're communicating it's in the mid 90s in terms of accuracy, in terms of percentage. It's shockingly good, right? Now, look, if it's not recorded in a nice environment, if it's noisy, if, said speaker is very, very accented from a particular region that's a little harder to decipher, yes, you may require more editing. But that would be with anything, right? Anything certainly automated. And then if you go to a service, that's going to cost you more. So I recommend trying it out. Any case, once you have that, by the way, you can identify the speakers here. So, I can edit this. It's not unknown. It's Jason. Again, it's only me, but if we had multiples, we could name them accordingly. This is now where this gets amazingly cool, because I'm simply going to now tap this button here, create captions. All right. And when you do that, it says, okay, create a caption from the sequence, transcript. Okay. Caption preset. By default, you want to make subtitles. Now, again, for our broadcast customers, you'll see you've got a lot of different options in here. For all of us who are building captions, again, for the purpose of social video, YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, wherever, subtitle default is most likely what you want, okay? If you're going out to, again, international broadcast networks or other things, you have different options here. But for most, subtitle default is what you're going to want. That's also going to allow you to build a very seamless SRT right from here. All right. Style. Now, you'll note that I have a couple of styles in here. These are actually caption styles that I already made inside the Essential Graphics panel. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll go ahead and choose one of them. I was going to show you how to customize it. So you'll see I have a couple different ones here. So I have Avenir Light Blue, some blue text, Light White center, and then I have Avenir Medium Yellow center with a bounding box. So yellow, white, yellow, white, yellow, white, yellow, white, yellow. I'm so torn. Earlier this year, I was really into the yellow captions. Now I'm going to go back to the white captions. All right, so let's do that. Let's do Avenir Light White center. And you can choose kind of, medium, maximum length in characters, minimum duration, gaps, all of those things. Oh, it's not letting me choose it? Oh, weird. Okay, well, maybe not. Not gonna worry about that right now. Single line or double line, we can go double. Choose, this is a new little option that I didn't notice earlier. All right, let's go ahead and choose that. Click create. It builds those captions. And now you'll notice, if you haven't already noticed or checked out the caption workflow, you now have a dedicated caption track, all right, or subtitle track in Premiere that lives above the video track, all right, with its own eyeball, because of course you can have multiple captions for the same video, although it only displays one caption on screen at a time, okay? So now, if we look over here, now you can see time-coded, it's showing you the time code, duration, location, position of all of those captions. So let's go ahead and play this. And by the way, if I zoom in, you'll actually see the text of each caption exists inside of each little caption block here, okay? So let's go ahead and play it back and see how it did. Hi, it's Jason Levine from Adobe. Here's what you missed this week on Adobe Live. Today we're going to be talking about how Dynamic Link works with After Effects and Premiere Pro. We're going to take this particular shot, add some text to it. I want to create those animations over in After Effects. Right-click, Control-click on the clip itself. By the way, it looks like it did take the preset, so it is using Avenir Light. It's even showing me the track style, but for whatever reason in that dialog, it didn't select it. Write that up, Kev, if it's not already. That's seems like a bug to me. The reason for the track styles is just that. You may have a particular style because our default style is not one that I generally love. So you can select your captions blocks, and let's try that Avenir medium yellow with the bounding box. And you can see now you have all of your captions appearing that way. So just as we showed you moments ago with creating text, right? Now you're using Essential Graphics to customize your captions any way that you want. So they can be any font that you want them to be. If you want your captions to be in Bradley Hand, I don't know what that is. Okay, oof, nope. Let's go with Adobe Clean UX, okay? Any font, any style, any color, whatever it is, oh, that's very hard to read, you can adjust those and use those captions exactly as you want, however you want, displaying them however you like, all right? You notice you have a couple of different caption zones here, so we can choose where they appear on screen, all right? Again, this is essential for the burn-in option as well as creating that external sidecar file, right? So where do you want them to appear? I'm watching a lot of shows recently where I've noticed they're placing it at the top instead of the bottom, which is interesting. And then you have all the appearance stuff that we showed you before. Again, if you make a look or you design a particular style, I mentioned how much I love Futura. So let's say I want to, all of my captions are going to be in Futura PT, with, it looks like I have a drop shadow. Maybe I'll do a little less opacity there. Change the angle. All right, notice I'm just making these little small refinements. Okay, distance. All right, now, again, from this menu, I can say create style. If I go ahead and do that, I'll call this Futura light white plus shadow. All right, now that becomes an accessible track style that I can use on these captions and additional caption material that I bring into this project, okay? And Kev, correct me if I'm, keep me honest here, but I believe still the track styles are saved at the project level. They're not saved at the, at the app level. So if I go into another completely new project, I don't see these track styles. Is that still the case, Kev? I believe it is. I'll let you chime in on that. Reverb Mike quoting from one of my all-time favorite movies. They're boxy, but they're safe, yes. Dudley Moore, who uttered that line. Anyway, okay. Wait for Kevin's note here. All right, so captions, auto-transcriptioning. From this text panel, again, up at the top here, right now, if we wanted to create that SRT file, again, the sidecar file that you upload separately, so, when YouTube says, they'll auto-create captions, but particularly if there's, proper names and things, look, their algorithm's very good. But if you wanted to exact, perfect, you can export a separate file. You can export it to a text file. You can disable the auto scroll here. Or when you go into, oh, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. When you go into exporting this, so let's go ahead and go up to File, Export Media. In the Captions tab here, all right, you'll see that you also have options, right? So you can, the default is, of course, to burn the captions into the video. So this is going to display them, live, right? So again, if I'm going out to Twitter or to TikTok, I want this. I want them burned in because that's the only way people are going to see them. If I want the enable disable option available via Facebook or Vimeo or YouTube, then I go into the sidecar option, okay? And then you'll see you can either choose EBUN19 or what you will want for YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook is the subrip subtitle format. You're going to want this one here, okay? And you'll even see it says SRT or STL, right? For most of us, we're going to be working with SRT. And by choosing SRT, you get a smaller set of options. You'll see there's a checkbox here, include SRT styling. Some elements of what you do in Essential Graphics are supported in some of those display environments, right? Wacky colors, italics, bounding boxes. I don't believe that's included in most of the SRT styling. I talk about exactly which parameters are available in SRT styling in that longer form training video. So again, I'll put a link to that at the end. But just keep in mind that, you know, if you don't check this, it's just going to deliver this in the standard look and feel of on-screen captions. This will allow you to customize it a bit, but there are some limitations with what carries over, okay? Super simple, super easy, and it's available to everyone. So if you haven't checked this out, please do. It's really awesome. Okay, and Kevin is verifying that the track styles stay within the project file and not at the full app level. YouTube has problems with accents. That's not their only problem, right? They're great. Okay, so let's see. Moving on now. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about transitions, all right? Different types of transitions also found in the Essential Graphics panel. So let me go back to another timeline here. Something a little more interesting. Oh, this is all. Is any of this moving? Okay. Just trying to find some footage I can place some transitions between. There's not a lot here, so I'm just going to shrink this stuff up and kind of build a very super fast little edit right here. All right. This will be good enough for what I want to do. Okay, that'll be fine. Nice. All right. So once again, we're going to start here in Essential Graphics and go into Browse. And I talked about this last week real briefly at the end. You know, we're so used to using things like the traditional transition effects, things like cross dissolve. And by the way, I just opened up the effects panel up here. All right. And if we go into video transitions under dissolves, I mean, there's lots of them here, but most of the ones that are legit you'll find under dissolve. So cross dissolve, dip to white or black, film dissolve. You know, these are standard ones that, of course, you have, you know, wipes, zooms. You know, I think we've shown a couple of those over time. You know, this one, this kind of stuff. Oh, it does not like that at all. Does that need to be rendered? What? Really? That seems like an awful lot of work for just a silly little transition. Seriously? Yeah, it's slow. See, you know, one more reason not to use these. These are fine. Now, there's also third-party ones like Vamify and, you know, people who use video as a transitional element, right? The classic sort of TikTok thing that everybody does with the hand now. I mean, a transition can be anything, right? You're just trying to trying to do one of two things, right? You're trying to either completely obscure a really sharp cut or blend two different things together in some kind of interesting visual way where the transitional element kind of, it jars you for a second so that you're changing the scene, changing the vibe, changing the mood, changing something, right? So you have all these traditional ones here. We showed you those last week. But Adobe Stock has thousands of really awesome graphical transitions for free that are also fully editable, fully customizable. And then there's also paid ones, which are, you know, even better. So up in Essential Graphics, we're going to go to the Adobe Stock tab here. All right. And let's just start by selecting free. Okay. And let's type transition. All right. And it delivers a whole bunch of pages of different graphical transitions, all right? Now, as we look at these, again, I always recommend, you'll see there's a little info button right there. If we click on the info button, it brings you into this larger view, but this is where you can now visually see what does that look like, okay? So this is what you're downloading. And then it tells you a little bit about it. It's free, it's 1 second, You know, it's 1920 1080 responsive design. Kind of gives you some keywords, you know, other ways to find it and things like it. I showed you this one last week. I love this one. All right. Just looks very timely. You know, think there's a couple of commercials right now. I think TBS. I'm not saying they're using this exact one, but I know I've seen this, like, you know, rounded edge. These look like Good and Plenty. Anybody remember that candy, that movie candy, the pink and white licorice candy? This is like this is the Good and Plenty transition for me. I don't know why. Yes, there's blue and green in there, but it always reminds me of that. All right, and then as we kind of scroll through here, lots of different ones. Here's oh, what's this one? Wobble transition. What does this look like? Oh, that's kind of cool. Again, you know, just something a little different and graphical. Now, as I look at this one and I look at the colors of the surfboard and the sky, this actually looks pretty neat. This is pretty cool, and it tells me sample text is for display only and may not be included in the end use. You know, add your own text or images. Okay, fine. So let's go ahead and grab this one. So I'm going to download this, okay, to my CC library of choice. All right, and then I'm simply going to click and drag, and let's drag this into my timeline. All right, and this is where I really should label these different colors so I can see the cuts better. I'm going to drag this over these two clips. All right, and there's our transition. Now, I'm not saying that's brilliant. That looks a little Nickelodeon-ish for my taste, although I do kind of like the way it's framing that. And color-wise, we just totally nailed it. Wow, talk about just finding the right like color harmony there. We don't even need to change anything. It's actually quite nice. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying, you know, kudos to me for picking a rando that was pretty good. But what's cool about this, as you can see here, is, first of all, if we go into Essential Graphics, take a look at all the layers, all right? So this is telling us, if we go back into our effects controls here, all right? So this is all done with shapes, right? So remember I showed you how you can have layers of different shapes? You're seeing all of that here. So this is, it's really simple, right? It's 4 basic shapes. And you're seeing how each of these, and you can enable or disable these accordingly, is working together, animating, changing over time. Here's all the keyframes. What is this also telling you? This entire thing was built in Premiere. So it's fully editable as well. So if you don't like some element of this, you can change it. We can go deep down and you can say, oh, okay, look, here's path keyframes, scale keyframes, opacity, all of these different things. The appearance, right? So here's the color. We could change all of the individual colors or add something else to this, okay? Here we've got the mask with shape enabled and it's inverted so that the video underneath pops through, okay? Really, really cool, really easy. So let's just say, you know, we wanted to change that yellow. Wanted to get it a little more vibrant. All right, I'm going to take the eyedropper here. Now it's the actual color of that surfboard. That actually looks worse. That's perfect. That's exactly what I would do. I would choose the wrong yellow. The lighter yellow was better. But you see what I'm saying? Here, let me do it again. Maybe I'll get like this yellow right here. No, that was worse too. It's fine by default. Also, you know, again, we can adjust opacity of these things if we don't want them to be, you know, completely opaque. You know, it's just to kind of let it blend a little bit more if we so desired. Like for this as well, maybe just a little bit of an opacity change. A little bit more blended. All right, but you get the idea. I love calling out motion graphics templates because it's a great way to start. And more importantly, if you're trying to get inspired, if you're trying to learn how these things are built. Remember, you can also monetize motion graphics templates via Adobe Stock. This is a really awesome way to do that, okay? Now, let's just go back to Browse for a second here because I want to kind of talk a little bit more about, again, different options that you have. So you can see you know, there's all different kinds of things. This is another one. This is a sports-themed transition. This, as you take a look, I'll zoom in so you can see it on screen. right? Now, was this one built in Premiere? Now, I've shown this a bunch of times, so I don't need to tell. The answer is no. And you know that because, look, first of all, there's like light, and there's all this other graphical stuff that's happening on here, which Premiere just doesn't, it's just not built in to do that kind of animation. This one was obviously built in After Effects, okay? Now, what's super cool for that is, first of all, you have lots of different editable parameters. So naturally, all this text and everything can be changed, and this is very specific. We wouldn't use that for this kind of a video. This is a free one, by the way. So again, After Effects animation, free. It even tells you requirement, After Effects. But you also, just because it's built in After Effects doesn't mean you can't edit it. And you can even open up the MOGRT itself in After Effects as a way to understand how the entire thing was authored. And this is where we're going to end today. All right, showing you how to unlock a motion graphics template in After Effects. All right, and by the way, just to kind of show you, because you're like, well, let's see what those parameters look like on the Premiere side. Okay, let me go ahead and drag this one down here. Okay, this one's going to take a second because it's bigger. It's obviously it's After Effects. It's got lights and maybe some particles and some other things. Okay. Chapter 1 in my old effects book, says Kevin, break down the work of others to learn how to create your own custom effects. Yep. I mean, that's it, right? It's ultimately, it's about, figuring it out and learning stuff. Oh, and it's already done. I was cutting away while it was processing. Let's go back to the screen, and it's already loaded up in there. Okay. Now, I don't mind telling you, let me go into quarter res here for a second, that, these motion graphics templates, oh, and by the way, I guess the content, I'm in a 4K timeline, so this must be a 1080 graphic here. So for this, I would just scale it up to frame size, all right, like that. Because this is generated in After Effects, it's not going to necessarily play super fast, although it actually looks like it's doing it quickly. You're going to want to scrub through it to cache those frames. If you've worked in After Effects, you're familiar with the global performance cache. Well, we have the playback engine for After Effects comps in Premiere. So look at how quickly now we actually went into real time. I mean, that's awesome. It's already doing it. Now, if we click on this and we go into Edit, this is now showing you all of the editable parameters, all of the text, right? The colors, background chooser. So let's say Courage. So let's say, Adobe Live, and it's going to be Jason versus Paul. I don't know, because we just came up. Text 3 is power, evangelism. Background chooser. Oh, there's grass. There's like a tennis court. There's wood. So there's like different graphical elements behind these. And I can adjust the colors as well. I don't want that orange. Maybe I want it yellow. And I don't want it blue. I want it that color. All right. Scrub through it. Oh, and you can see evangelism is kind of obscured. So let's shrink the text down so that it fits. All right. Now, because this is an After Effects generated one, it might take a second for that change to kick in. Looks like I need to make it even smaller still. Okay. But right on screen, all of that changes live. Okay. So cool, right? And let's go over to After Effects because it's got 2 minutes here, not even, minute and a half. If you download that motion graphics template locally as opposed to saving it to your library, you can then open that up in After Effects. And here's how you do it. You would think you'd go to File, Import, right? That is not how you do it. You actually have to open up a MOGRT, because MOGRT is a package, right? It's like a, I just forgot the term that I was just thinking of. Only thing that's coming to mind is interleaved audio, and that's not what I mean, but it's a packaged file, right? So to do that, you're actually going to open it as a project, okay? And this works with any motion graphics template. File, Open Project. And let's see, I've got a couple of MOGRTs in here. So let's try this one, Dramatic Thriller. This is an old one, but it's pretty cool. Click Open. It's going to ask you, where do you want to save this to? all right, because it needs a folder to extract all the elements, all right, saying that it's got to convert it from an old one. And now what you're seeing in the comp, this is this crazy motion graphics template that someone built, this really awesome, cool animation. You're seeing the entire thing and how the whole thing was built, all of the layers, everything here, every element of this, so that you can begin to break it down, customize it, and really learn how to make these things. You can even see here in the Essential Graphics panel in After Effects, this is showing you all of the editable parameters that they're giving you, the user, access to. So really amazing flexibility. And this is something which is kind of unspoken. We don't talk about this a lot, but the ability to extract and open MOGRTs from within After Effects for ones that were built in AE. Again, the idea for me, for you, is to learn how those things are authored. All right? So my friends, that is all the time we have. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week with part 3 of Premiere Pro Basics. Until then, have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Julia's coming up next with the Daily Creative Challenge, so stick around for that. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.